Have you ever sat around a campfire and told scary stories? Flickering shadows dancing on faces, embers floating like dying stars. Someone dares someone else to go into the woods. It's all fun and games, until it's not. This is the story of a game that didn't just test your courage, it judged your soul. It had been 10 years since the group had all been together. They weren't friends anymore, not really. Life had scattered them like leaves. Jobs, marriages, divorces, secrets. But their 10-year school reunion brought them back together. Maya insisted. She always was the heart of the group. One last camping trip, she said, like old times. So they came. Ben, always cracking jokes to deflect the silence. Jules, still skeptical of everything. Lena, quiet as ever. Miles, trying to pretend he was still in charge. Noah, the odd one out. Invited, but never fully part of the group. They arrived at Deep Pine Campground just before sunset. Miles had chosen it. Isolated. No cell service. No rangers. No other people. Perfect, he said. Like old times, right? That night, after the tents were pitched and marshmallows were burned, they sat around the campfire. The flames snapped and popped. Ben passed around a flask. Jules rolled her eyes. Maya smiled too brightly. Lena noticed something odd buried in the pit, a blackened box, half buried beneath the firewood. Miles kicked at it. It was metal, charred. Strange symbols were carved deep into its surface. On top, it read, "One flame, one truth, one dare. One fate." Then Noah said it. "Why don't we play truth or dare?" They all groaned. Noah opened the box. Inside, a rusted spinner, shaped like a compass. Each point was etched with an ancient symbol. They thought it was a prop, some weird leftover party game. But when Miles tossed it back into the pit, the fire roared, and the game began. The flame shifted. It turned, literally pointed toward Ben. They laughed. Kind of. "Truth or dare?" Jules asked. Before Ben could answer, the fire popped loudly. A whispering voice, too faint to understand, seemed to curl out of the flames. Ben, laughing nervously, chose truth. The fire grew taller, and the whisper became a voice. "Tell them what you did to Melissa." Everyone froze. Melissa was gone. Their old friend, the one who drowned at senior camp. Ben's smile vanished. "I didn't mean to," he said. "We were drunk. I dared her to swim across. I thought she was kidding." The spinner clicked. Ben screamed, not from fear, but like something had been torn out of him. The fire flickered blue, then went still. That should have been it. But the spinner turned again and pointed to Maya. She tried to refuse, said it wasn't funny anymore. But the flame grew, crackled louder. The symbols on the box glowed faintly. Jules stepped back. "It's just heat and psychology," she said. Group hysteria. Maya chose dare. The fire whispered, "Walk alone into the woods. Do not look back." They all protested. Maya stood up, tears already in her eyes, and disappeared into the trees. They waited. 10 minutes, then 20. Miles said he was going after her. But as he stood, the flame shrank. The fire went cold. Then Maya stepped back into the sickle. But she wasn't crying anymore. She didn't say a word. She sat down and smiled. It was now Jules' turn. The fire grew and whipped around to her. She refused, laughed, called it all a trick. Ben was in on it. Maya was faking. Truth or dare? The fire boomed. Jules sat down on the log laughing. "I'm not playing this game." But the fire didn't wait. It dragged her in. The group screamed as Jules stood engulfed in flames. 1 second she was standing there on fire. The next, she was on her knees, screaming. She gasped for air, then let out a blood-curdling scream that made the hair on the back of my neck stand. "What is your truth?" the fire whispered. "I slept with Miles while he was with Melissa." Silence. Then she collapsed. No one moved. Lena whispered, "What kind of game is this?" Noah, who had been quiet all night, finally spoke. He pulled out a small leather journal. Said he found it inside the box. Inside were crude drawings, symbols, notes from what looked like a cult. "A ritual game. Campfire Roulette," he read aloud. "A flame-bound confession circle. The liar burns. The coward is taken. The guilty may barter with blood." They weren't just playing for fun. They were being judged. Noah stood near the fire, clutching the cold journal tighter than before. His hands trembled. His voice was low. "This thing isn't just a game." He looked around at the others, then glanced at the fire. Without warning, Noah hurled the journal straight into the flames. A loud crack split the air. The fire flared blood red. The spinner spun violently, and a new voice, deeper, angrier, boomed from the flames. A sudden gust of wind knocked Noah to his knees. The flames licked toward him, though they never touched. The group screamed. The fire spun again, slower this time, deliberate, pointing back at Noah. A new prompt burned itself into the soil. "Dare. Bury the truth beneath your own flesh." Noah couldn't catch his breath. He began scanning the ground for something sharp. He reached for a jagged rock, then lunged forward, grabbing his arm and whispering, Don't do it, man. Ben screamed in anguish and pulled away from Noah. When he looked at his palm, his hand was covered in blisters, as if it had been burned just for trying to stop him. Noah didn't speak. It was like he was in a trance. He took off his flannel and began to carve the symbol from the box, the spiral sun, into his forearm. Blood smeared across his skin. He never screamed. Not once. The fire pulsed, brighter with each drop. And then, silence. The journal flew out of the fire, landing beside him, untouched by flame. The voice returned. He obeyed. Noah collapsed beside it, trembling, but alive. The others just stared. Then came Miles. He stood up slowly. He knew his time was coming. Everyone looked at him, eyes wide with fear. "I can't do this," he muttered. He started pacing, hands gripping his head, breathing hard. The flame rose higher. "Choose. Truth or dare," it boomed. Miles fell to his knees. "No, I won't choose," Maya and Lena screamed. They knew what happened to cowards. Suddenly, Miles froze. His eyes rolled to the back of his head. He stood motionless, like something was puppeteering his body from the inside. Then, he collapsed forward. A whisper. Truth. Miles stumbled toward Noah, grabbed the water can. Noah backed up, tripped over a log. "Miles, wait!" Miles dumped the can over the fire. The flame hissed and vanished. For one long breath, there was peace. Then Noah screamed. His body lifted into the air, bones cracking, spine arching unnaturally. "Miles, please," Noah choked out. Miles just stood there. He knew what the fire wanted, but he didn't speak, didn't move. Noah dropped, dead. Miles collapsed beside him, crying. Why? Why him? The fire relit itself instantly. The spinner spun. "Miles," it whispered. Miles stood. His voice was gone. "The truth, Miles. I can't." Lena was suddenly lifted off the ground, arms stretched like a crucifix. Okay, Miles screamed. "I'll tell you. I killed my dad." Silence. No one asked why. Lena floated gently to the ground. The fire glowed, satisfied, but not finished. Miles looked around, at the broken group, at the bodies, at the box. "No more," he said. "This ends now." The fire crackled in response. One more. The group looked at one another in terror. Then, Miles began to pace again. Like he couldn't control his own body. The voices in his head wouldn't let him go. He walked in frantic circles, shaking his head, muttering as if he were arguing with someone who wasn't there. "It's okay, Miles. You can do it. It wouldn't be your first time." His eyes locked on Lena. "I'm sorry, but," he started. Lena cut him off, sobbing. "Miles, please." But was too late. Miles grabbed her, dragged her toward the fire. No one stopped him. No one could. Before he knew it, Lena was engulfed in flames. The fire flared violently, and she vanished in a burst of white light. The spinner stopped. The box turned to ash. Then, silence. When Miles looked around again, he was no longer at the campground. He was strapped to an iron bed, alone, in the psych ward where he had been for the past 10 years, ever since what happened at Deep Pine Campground. He blinked in confusion. His breathing accelerated, and the memories returned. And he screamed about the fire, about his friends, about how it made him do it. A nurse rushed in. Calmly, as if she had done this before, she gave him a shot. His eyes fluttered shut. But as sleep took over, one thing was certain. Miles would relive that night again, and again, and again. Because whether it was real or just madness, the fire never left him. So was Miles crazy, or did the fire take him? Tell me in the comments what you think.